the intuitive person is very likely to be religious. He is very likely to be a person of prayer, of meditation, a person trying desperately, if necessary, to live according to a high code of personal relationships with life. He is trying to overcome the tendency to animosities. He is trying to transmute old hatreds and antagonisms. He is trying to reduce as far as he can the vanities in his own life. He is entitled to anything and everything that is proper for him. But if he wishes to become a better person, he must take advantage only of the better opportunities that arise. Otherwise, he will ultimately short-circuit his own life. If he can begin to reduce these artificial decisions that he makes simply on the basis of the sensory perceptions without coordination, if he will gradually learn to discriminate the laws behind action, he will begin to develop a stronger intuitional faculty. The law of cause and effect is the basis of all prophecy. It is the basis of all the anxieties that we feel when we know we have disobeyed the rules. It also gives us a certain realization of sins of omission, in which we are in trouble because we have failed to accept the responsibilities of life. In working further with this, the Buddhist, of course, holds strongly to a meditative concept. Buddhism was originally a moral and ethical system, and it was gradually expanded to become what has been called in Asia the heart doctrine. It is the doctrine that the final solution to all things is compassion, that the individual must base his foundations upon a gentle release from the tendencies to cruelty of any kind. The Bodhisattva doctrine is the doctrine of infinite self-sacrifice for the common good. It is the doctrine of the individual forgetting his own advancements in the service of humanity. It is completely non-competitive. Competition becomes a basis of delusion, for competition itself is a delusion. Nothing will ever be solved by it, because it is constantly destroying the basic friendships, the basic kinships which should exist in human society. Intuition, therefore, comes mostly to those who by nature have chosen to follow a faith or a spiritual path of growth. These people, for example, do develop a strong sense of faith. Faith is dependency upon truth. It may be also called a dependency upon God, because in the highest analysis, God is truth. But it is the individual aligning himself with the divine purpose, striving sincerely to keep those spiritual realities which are set forth in the Sermon on the Mount and in the many wonderful teachings of the Christian religion. Here we have something that is contrary to human attitudes, but unfortunately for man is in perfect accord with the laws of existence. And we are told in the words of the Masters that blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. God's meek are those who quietly and gently accept the universal plan. They are the ones who strive definitely every day to keep the rules, fully aware that in those instances the rules will keep them. Quieting down, taking the humble spot, waiting quietly for the good that is deserved. These people quickly ripen their intuitions. They become very wise in the inner life of things. In olden days, there was in every family an honored elder. Very often it was grandmother, sometimes grandfather, or an aged maiden aunt. But there was always someone in the family who was the counselor. And when problems became difficult or situations were hard to bear, the elder was called upon to advise, to tell, to explain, to speak from the experience of long years that which is best in the present emergency. In man's compound constitution, this elder is the coordinator. It is that which speaks with the wisdom of ages against the foolishness of the moment, and points out those great strengths upon which survival depends. In our present generation, we have lost contact with most of the securities of the past. We have lost our ability to simply listen to the wisdom of the elders. The American Indian listened to the words of the olds and the truths. We listen mostly to superficial remarks made by those seldom qualified to speak at all. In other words, we have lost the counselor. We have lost the old teacher. We have lost Gunamons in the story of Parzival. We have lost the guide that would take us through the underworld of uncertainty, as in the story of Dante being led by Virgil through the underworld. We have lost the leadership and guidance of counsel. We are depending entirely now upon the contemporary pressure of events, and we regard anything that is not immediate as out of focus. We are not able to benefit even by the lessons of our own country. We are not able to benefit by the unhappiness in the lives of our own parents. We go on the same way. We cannot recognize that the parent in us, the old aunt and the grandmother in us, speaking with the wisdom of years, is the coordinator. It is that which out of the facts of living distills the pattern which each individual must follow. From this coordinator, the person can learn how he must change himself. He learns how he can expand and develop the potentials that he possesses. He learns how he can be more useful and serviceable to the causes of others around him. He learns better habits of living. He finds the mistake of decadent morality. He learns many, many things, not from the old grandmother or grandfather, but from this ancient one within himself, the teacher, the wise one, the oracle, that mysterious power which, if it can be brought into our objective attention, has the answers to everything that we need to know. This is true on every level, social, individual, collective. For in this computerizing process, the individual is stripped of all of his superficial embellishments. He is stripped of all the various attitudes. He is forced in himself to see himself, to know himself, and to act in accordance with the needs of himself. There is no concealment possible. There is no evasion. The facts are all there. But there are not too many who are able to face these facts. And there are not too many that even want to know that they exist. We want to go on our own way. Every civilization and culture of the world has brought forth its prophets. The prophets of the Old Testament, the patriarchs, the apostles, the world teachers, the great reformers, the great leaders. These persons were actually outstanding examples of the possibility of bringing the coordinator into objective manifestation. Wherever these prophets spoke in the Bible, we are told that they spoke upon the authority of God. The authority of God is the authority of truth. And the authority of truth arises from the individual's achievement of a basic factual existence within himself. Truth is, for each person, the truth of himself. The truth for every civilization is merely the statement of the laws governing that civilization and the inevitable consequences of action, constructive and destructive. The prophets of the Scriptures warned the kings and the princes of the fall of their empires. They warned individuals of the sorrows and miseries of their personal corruptions.